Players Prep. And yes, we are powered by Scoreboard. We are now at Christ Presbyterian Academy, the home of the Lions, and Coach Drew Maddux. Of course, he's always eloquent in giving us some of his time now. Coach, looking at your record, tremendous record in the state of Tennessee. The only places that you've ever had an issue were outside of the state, and it's usually, to cities, Indianapolis or wherever.
Yeah.
Is there a noticeable difference in competing outside of the state of Tennessee?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. I really am a fan of the show. I've watched multiple shows and seen you guys throughout the basketball, so I applaud what you guys are doing. I've never been described as eloquent, so that's good. I'll take that compliment. But Brad, Brad, what we try to do is we feel like at the basketball level in the state of Tennessee, especially on the boys' side, we try to put our players in competitive situations. So we've been blessed to have some success. So we get invited a lot of different places to play in some unique venues against some of the traditional powers across the country. And so we feel like we play probably the most competitive schedule in the state of Tennessee, in our opinion. And so when you see those losses, they're coming in places against teams that are industry leaders, whether they're prep school leaders or whether they're state leaders, like a Louisville Ballard or a Lila Muir, who's a perennial top 10 program in the country. St. John's Prep out of D.C. this year. So we've been in some great environments, but ultimately we feel like at the end of it, which right now we're in postseason, your team is more equipped for what that presents, and that you have a chance to be more successful.
Coach, you mentioned being in the postseason right now, and momentum is very real in sports. And you mentioned off camera that your seniors have actually never lost a league game in their entire careers. How big is that for them as seniors to need to go out on that high note like the seniors before them maybe have?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that, fortunately or unfortunately, depends on how you look at it, the brand has created some success around it, and so those guys have walked into that is those guys that have come before them have set the tone for what's expected to be a player here, and so they've embraced that. And coming into this year, Jared, Braxton Blackwell, who was a Mr. Basketball winner last year as a sophomore, other than him, our next leading scorer coming back would only average 3 points a game last year.
Wow.
So this was an inexperienced team in terms of the players in the uniform, but obviously when you see CPA come into your gymnasium, nobody really cares. And so I think that's, it's really become something that's fun, and it's been a privilege to carry that banner of what those young men have done before the actual group that plays this year.
Absolutely. Drew, you guys lost to Southside last year in the state semifinals. How much of a driving force has that been for y'all this time around?
Yeah, I think, Mo, if you continue to win, it's hard to teach lessons, which ultimately we're in this to utilize it as a platform to connect and to inspire and to lead them to be better versions of themselves. And if you're always successful, it's hard to have those teaching moments and those lessons. And so whether it's winning or losing a game, it's bigger than that to us. It's about elevating the conversation and really talking about, what can we learn through this experience of being together, and how do you deal with difficulty, and how do you deal with setback, and how do you bounce back to be better the next time. And so ultimately it led us to have some conversations that we weren't able to have for a long time. And so that locker room, it was sad, it was, but it really allowed us to talk about that life's going to have setback and life's going to have difficulty. And if this is the worst thing that happens in your life, losing a basketball game, then you're going to live a blessed life. And so that's what we try to utilize, rooms like this, locker rooms like this, to really be manhood classrooms to talk about bigger concepts of what it means to be a man in the 21st century.
Preach, brother.
Yeah, man.
Like Jared said, momentum is very real, but also something that you said, I never really thought about, teaching while you're winning. I guess sometimes that is difficult. Learning from your mistakes is a lot of how people get themselves better. If you haven't heard of Scoreboard, you're going to hear about Scoreboard. If you haven't had Scoreboard in your school community, why don't you ask around? Why not? These guys are going to tell you a little bit about more how to access it.
All you have to do is go to your app store. If you're an iPhone, go to Google Play. If you're Android, download the free app. Scoreboard is the name of it. You get live updates to the second on whatever schools you're following of any games that are playing. And it's a free app. It's awesome.
You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TheScoreboard, @Players Prep. Keep up with all the videos we're doing, see where we're headed next, and I'll take you out of here.
Another edition in the books. Players Prep powered by Scoreboard. We'll see you next time.